continue today Spentamainyush Gatha with Yasna 49. Atmayava Bendvo Pafremazishto Yeruserethris Chekshnusha Ashamazda Vanuhiada Gede Moe Ahmoe Arapa Yabahu Asho Vidamananha. Ever has Bendva hindered me. Greater. When I, O mindful, through justice, was trying to satisfy the misled, come to my support with thy good retribution, and with the good disposition. Thou knowest the destruction of that. Verse 2. Well, before I go on to verse 2, remember one of the things is the definition of black magic, including the term of curses and that which is destructive. Verse 2. Let's not moralize black and white magic like that, but that's important. Verse 2. Ada yama benva yamanaya man. I'll start over. Ada yama benva yamanayati Fakashu Dregvaedi Beta Ashat Vrareshu Nuit Spentam Dorest Ahmai Stue Armetis Naeda Bahumazda Frashtamananha. But that Bendava's teacher, Grandma, that apostate from justice, that wicked doer, has long hindered me. He fails to insist on having with him the bounteous love. Neither, O mindful, does he counsel with good disposition. Verse 3. Achamai varanai mazdanedaten Ashem suinyai fakashai rashayang hedrux taven heus sares yai mananhu antarevis peng drengvato hakmang antarembruya. It is our belief justice is sent down as the means to profit. Well, on the contrary, in their teaching, the lie of the wicked is set down as the means to harm. So, justice is set down. Consequently, I zealously insist on communion with good disposition, and on the swearing off all association with the wickedness. Enter fully into submission. Renounce Satan and all his works. This is the principle being shown here. Verse 4. Yoedas krathwa ashemem bareden ramem cha vayas his beast Shuyasu afshuyantu yaeshamnoed varshtais vastus varshta toeda evengdan yedregvatudanam, who, through perverted principles, increase fury of rapine and cruelty. Fury of rapine is also the idea of, the name for the devil itself. Among the herd prosperers, by their tongues' conversation, themselves not being heard prosperers. Those whose own crimes they do not overcome with good works, these may establish the entities of the fire beings through the spirits of the wicked, are also translated as away with them into the dwelling of the demons. So verse 5. Adhavo mazdai zacha azuetischa yeda enambahu sarshta mananha armatois kaschit ashazentas Tais chavis pies thwahmi kshathroe ahura. May zeal and fat food Ithram, who in spirit communes with good disposition, because he is well informed about love through justice. I judge all these belong into thy realm, O mindful. Now, it's not enough to have emotion. It's got to be in the right context. Verse 6. Fruvae fraeshya mazda shemcha mruiteya vekratas kshmakaya amananha eres vichedyae yathai sravaya ma tamda enam yakshmavato ahura. O mindful Lord, I beg you in justice to declare your wisdom's purposes in connection with the proper solution of the problem how to attain a hearing for the spirit of one like you. It is thought that there's a difference between honor and dignity. Honor is a secular matter, and dignity is a sacred matter. And this is shown in different ways. That's a particular context of such. Verse 7. Tachavo mazda shratu mananha sratu asha gushavatu ahura keiryamake vaetus datais anhat yeverezenai vanhimdat frasastim. Hear, O good disposition. Hear, O justice. Hearken thou, O mindful Lord, what peer, what gentleman will initiate regulations whose observance would earn a good reputation for the group of those who labor at herding cattle. Such is the greatness of influence. Greater than a mere deed is the deed that influences other deeds. And materially, we may not look at it this way, but spiritually, your entire influence counts for you, which is your hero deed in this life. One should try to make the world better. Verse 9. Verashashtraye rvazishtam ashahyadaye sarem tatvamazda yasahura medyacha yambanhav thwamiyakshathroe yavoe Vispae fraeshtainu ainhama. I beg of thee, O mindful Lord, to grant to Frash Ashtra the most beautiful communion with justice, and to me to obtain the good in the power realm, while both of us wish to be thy messengers forever in the age. And yeah, we certainly should want to have a influence for what is best continually, long after our names are gone, but perhaps our name is such an extent that people aren't quite sure. But verse 9. Sratu sasna ifshenghoyosuye tashtonuit eresvachaye saremdiras dregvata yadaenaye vahishte nizde ashayuktayahi Dejamaspa. Let the prosperer who was shaped to profit the world listen to the teachings. Let not him who the just words have any communion with the wicked. Let the spirits of the best compensation join together. Let both the man and Jamaspa unite with justice. And I guess in the live video that I'm going to do today, there's sort of that idea is the spiritual partnership. It's not just marriage. There's more such spiritual partnerships of the unity of purpose between human beings. Verse 29. Verse 10. Okay, because it only goes up to 12. Tachamazdathwahmiyadam nepaenhe manuvahu uranatschashanam nemaschayarmaitis armaitis Izacha mazakshatra vazdanha avemira. Whereupon, O mindful Lord, we will commit to thy dwelling the good thoughts, souls, and adorations with the zeal and loving devotions of the righteous, all of which, O powerful, mayst thou guard with enduring energy. Verse 11. Adasakshyatrang dusyathanang Duzvachanho, Duzdaeneng, Duzmananhu, Dragvatu, Akais, Varethais, Petirvano Petienti Drujudemane Hathian Astayo. The soul's foods will go to meet the bad administration, bad deeds, bad speeches, and bad spirits of the evil-minded, wicked doers will be genuine companions of the dwelling of the evil. Verse 12. Kato yashazbayante avanhu Zarathustrae kato evahu mananha yevestatais mazdafrinai ahura avat yasas hayat veishta vahishtem. O justice, what sort of help hast thou for me? Zarathustra, who am calling to thee, with a good disposition, what help hast thou perhaps for me? O holy mindful, with praises do I sue for thy friendship, praying for whatever is best among your compensating rewards. And I'm hoping I will get to 50 tonight. And so, in part 1.3 of the higher criticism of the Gathas, we have Christian difficulties of interpreting the Gathas. Comparative religion, as well as the history of Christianity, are vitally interested in discovering the real nature of the Persian religion before the days of Cyrus, the Messiah of the Lord, Isaiah 45:1, and, well, is it the book of Daniel too? And of its friendliness to the Jews and his liberating them for the express purpose of reestablishing their national worship. Enmity between them is incredible. The only question possible to the extent to which the friendship and interaction went. Unfortunately, this question has not been argued dispassionately because Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, and Parsi confessional interests are involved. Each seeks the facts that will aid his cause, and by conducting his inquiry suitably finds them. Evidently, confusion will not cease until the whole subject is removed from partisan associations. By the Islamic presence, modern causes of difficulty is part 4 of part 1, and the mental and moral attitude of the reader ever be considered in the attempt at a correct understanding of a writing. Hence we must not fail to recall and reckon that which shallowness of many unemployed, irresponsible, but socially prominent persons, most frequently females, whose good intentions have led them to forget the shorter and uglier word, expressive of the statements denying diseases, and that mysticism may at times be, and frequently is, no more than a cheap and lazy haziness. The publican, who, because he is seeking absolute truth, goes through the world with despair gnawing at heart, is no doubt dearer to the God who endowed man with intelligence. I wonder if he votes Republican. But these well-intentioned mystics are the majority, and no doubt will be antagonized by the apparent materialism and skepticism of this honest effort to discover the primitive beliefs alone Zarathustra could have had so early in the evolution of the race, the only alternative being to deny evolution for something better, and to turn around from the future to the past, looking on it so as the mirror of one's own self, usually. Now, you can return to the fundamentals and bring out society and progress like never before. There's a difference between regressive. It depends on what values we're looking at. Fundamentalism is not quite the same in all things. 3. Guides of interpretation. Have we any compass on our adventurous voyage of discovery? Have we any quadrant, any log, any sounding line, any anchor? Our guide should be precautionary measures, preventative of self-delusion, history and ethnology as the frames within which comparative religion may aid us to recognize and marshal whatever definite facts, however few or faint, we may possess. Precautionary guides against self-deceit. We will be considerably helped in our self-analysis by scrutinizing the developments of the recognized criticism of other ancient scriptures. To begin with, we must A. throw by the board all those familiar theological notions and later Mazdian legends, re-emitting them, if at all, only one by one, and that on due proof. We will thereby begin by rejecting all ideas of archangels, M. 122, theology, M. 173, saints, M. 183, millennium, M. 174, primeval word, M. 8280, covenant, B. 1109, bookkeeping and weighing, B.G. the A. 122, and open laying, B. 309. Among all other Mazdian and Hebrew notions, B. Neither we must explicitly draw conclusions which may be indeed inferentially implied in our documents. The history of religions shows that the self-conscious drawing of logical conclusions from generally accepted statements has generally required centuries. This applies to Zarathustra's eschatology, which the Mazdians later reduced to a very logical system of which he himself may have been entirely unconscious, even though he used language which may be interpreted best by the very Mazdian deductions. Now, even if we say that conservatism is, generally right, we definitely have some issues to look at and say, why did it take so long to come to some of these conclusions? A minority usually, but some of these conclusions. C. We must avoid methods which are Procrustean, that is to say, cut up the facts to suit some theory of ours, or to find a unity where none was intended. In the recognized criticism of ancient scriptures, as long as every line is to be tortured into absolute agreement with every other, no progress was made, and not until the individuality of several component parts was acknowledged was the larger harmony of the whole discovered. Who would want to listen to a harp, all the strings of which were tuned to the same pitch? Even in the Gathas, we must expect to find developments of belief by the same persons and interpolations by others. We must be prepared to differentiate later from earlier parts. We must not shrink from studying pre-Zoroastrian religion in order to learn the significance and extent of his innovations. 2. They don't organize this terribly easy, do they? Comparative religion illustrates Gathic problems. We may confidently appeal to comparative religion for the preliminary presumptive solution of one of the special Gathic difficulties: how far we should translate the divine names into moral concepts and psychological functions, or whether we should consider that they represent pre-Zoroastrian divinities, no doubt molded and transformed. Well, certainly, why would God call a prophet if everything was perfect among the society, and why would God call a prophet that just said a bunch of strange things that nobody understood, and he would speak to people through what they know? Comparative religion teaches us to distinguish in the
eternal spiral of religious progress, two contrasting moments, tradition and innovation. But the sane man who is both aspiring and conservative attempts to combine these standpoints by reading enlightened morality into traditional divine names or formulas become incomprehensible or misunderstood, an attitude known as euhemerism. On the euhemerism. On the other hand, the reformer, either too ignorant to know that the absolute truth is unattainable, and that the peculiar charm of what to him seems truth really consists merely in its being his own opinion, or that he is so unfortunate as to live at some time of particular stress. In both cases, the reformer destroys what he does not understand and establishes a moral religion in the guise of reform, partial, or innovation entire. Now, where did Zarathustra stand? Was he a euhemerist, a reformer, or an innovator? He was no innovator, for he frequently infers the pre-existence of some of the cults. Our question therefore narrows